This podcast may contain disturbing content for some listeners. It's intended for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised. This is True Crime XS.
You can tell that she's not quite the same.
We have two parents of a 13-year-old who are deceased. We have a 13-year-old who was abducted for 88 days against her will forcibly. It doesn't get any more serious than that.
For 13-year-old Jamie Kloss, the horror she endured may never fade. Kidnapped, telling investigators she was abused for 3 months, held captive under her alleged kidnapper's bed for 12 hours at a time, all after hearing her father shot and watching her mother die.
You did cause the death of Denise J. Kloss with intent to kill that person.
With courage that defied her age, Kloss escaped and ran for help.
I saw a young woman approach me. She was crying and said, "I need help. I don't know where I am. I'm lost. Please help me."
Thin, disheveled, but alive. An outcome that's far too rare. Perhaps no one understands that better than John Walsh.
We were holding out that she was alive. She made the escape. How brave is that? She not only saved herself, she also caught her own perp. Because in the time she was in there, for those 88 days, she found out his last name, what his car looked like, the description of him. Amazing for a 13-year-old.
In July 1981, his 6-year-old son Adam was abducted outside a suburban shopping mall near their home in Florida.
When Adam was missing, there was no Amber Alerts, no National Center, no media coverage. I had to beg to get on Good Morning America.
Beg, badger, anything but give up. The Walshes made sure Adam's abduction became national news. But 2 weeks later, they received devastating news. Adam had been murdered.
I don't know who would do this to a 6-year-old child.
And they said, we got to find your wife, and we got to tell her. And I said, you know what? I'll tell her. I'll be the one to tell her. Toughest thing I've ever done.
The case would remain cold for decades. Walsh turned his attention to making sure no families had to endure what his had.
This is America's Most Wanted.
Perhaps becoming best known for his work on the show, America's Most Wanted.
Next time I see Alan White's face, I want to see bars in front of it.
America's Most Wanted was an American institution. Law enforcement agencies across the country, around the world, depended on it in some way.
The FBI and the marshals came to me and said, John, you caught 1,422 of the world's most dangerous fugitives. You recovered 61 missing kids. You caught 17 off the FBI's 10, more than any FBI agent in the history of the country, and you're a private citizen.
Over 20 years later, his own son's case still unsolved. He called this man, Joe Matthews, to help solve the mystery.
So you look at the markers.
In 2008, based on these new pictures and a mountain of evidence that detectives Matthews pieced together in a different way from the original detectives, the new Hollywood, Florida police chief officially closed the case by naming the man who killed Adam.
If Otis Toole was alive today, he would be arrested for the abduction and murder of Adam Walsh on July 27, 1981.
It took 27 years for me to solve that case with the help of a wonderful retired cop and a DA. Most people don't get that help.
How often do you think about it?
Every day. I'll always be the parent of a murdered child. And it's a wound that heals over, and it cracks open on holidays and birthdays, but you don't bleed to death. I wanted to make sure Adam didn't die in vain. That's why we never give up. And I wanted to honor his memory. And he's my angel.
After Adam's death, Walsh and his wife, Reve, became advocates and would help found the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. According to the center, there were more than 420,000 reports of missing children by law enforcement last year.
I believe that children are and can be resilient. They have something that we don't have. They have this ability to look at the good side of the public.
But Walsh knows there's still so much danger out there.
I'm John Walsh, and this is In Pursuit.
He now has a new show, In Pursuit with John Walsh, airing on Investigation Discovery, where he can again track fugitives and brings attention to missing children in each episode. This time, he's joined by his son, Callahan.
Your father took us to places. He was our eyes and ears on the ground around the world. But now that's going to be you.
I spent my childhood following my father around on set and being in a family that lost a young child. I have empathy for these families as well. So it's a perfect position for me to be in, to go on the road, to try to fill the giant shoes that my father has.
In one episode, the story of a 30-year-old manhunt.
Thane Smyka, if he's still alive, is a horrible creep.